And he is a two-division world champion. An absolute A-plus performance from Shakur. Terrence Crawford has just stopped Shawn Porter. Hail King Canelo! Viva Mexico's first undisputed champion! And opening up this sixth round, Josh Taylor scores the knockdown. He caught Ramirez. And now, the undisputed junior welterweight champion of the world, Josh the Tartan Tornado Taylor. He's on top of the world. Oh my! Just sensational from Loma. Tagged him with the left, and now he's pointing to his corner. He's pointing to Comey's corner and saying, you want me to give him more, or do you want to stop this? 5, the former #1 pound-for-pound best in the world. Lomachenko gives it a look at the legs of Comey. He can barely stand up. Lomachenko's telling the corner of Comey, you should stop this.
For the sport of boxing, the year 2021 was really good to us. A year for the history books, in a year that history was made on numerous occasions. Not only did we have great fights, but we got 2 undisputed champions in 1 year. And if it wasn't for a contested back and forth battle with Jermell Charlo and Brian Castano, we would have had a third. There were several must-see fights that came to fruition in 2021. And for the year 2022, the sky's the limit because there are numerous fights that are must-see TV.
And the new IBF, WBO, WBA, WBC franchise, and Ring Magazine lightweight champion of the world, George Ferocious Kambosos. One of the biggest upsets you will see.
George Kambosos and Devin Haney. A fight that was supposed to be Teofimo Lopez versus Devin Haney for all the glory, undisputed, to clear up all the annoying, unnecessary controversy surrounding who possesses the more prestigious WBC belt. And now the fight to make is Devin Haney versus George Kambosos for undisputed.
Why do you feel like I need to look excited or whatever the case may be? Why not just make it happen for all the belts no matter what?
No, we're gonna do that.
Good. That's it. That's all right.
As long as
If it makes sense.
No,
of course.
No, you already said you come to Charlotte. That's beautiful because
I'll fight you on Jupiter if I got to.
Both fighters will have a lot to prove in that fight, with Kambosos having to prove that his win over Teofimo Lopez wasn't a fluke, and Devin will not only have to show that he is the real WBC champion, he will then be potentially undisputed. And in boxing, we all know politics run the sport, so I hope the politics don't get in the way of making this fight come to fruition. I firmly believe that the WBC champion Devin Haney will get the opportunity to face someone of significance in the lightweight division, and I hope it's George Kambosos Jr.
Anybody who steps in that ring to me, they will go down. 2 rounds, you're going to sleep. 2 rounds, hey, it's not gonna hurt. I promise you, it's not gonna hurt. I don't care what you got. Yeah, all that. You better open up. You're gonna need a ladder to hit me. How tall are you? You 5'5". You don't need a ladder to hit me. You're gonna need a Stairmaster. Boy, you won't be able to touch me. You ain't never fought a 135 in your life. Just different. I don't care what you say. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing.
With the lightweight division being the most promising division out of all of boxing, there are so many big fights that are within that division that could be made in 2022. And perhaps the biggest fight that could be made in that division and makes the most sense is Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia. This fight is literally 3 years in the making. And in my personal opinion, the hype around this fight has been dragged out way too long, and the fight needs to happen in 2022. This fight could generate a lot of viewers, and it's a fight that the boxing world literally wants to see. Unlike most of Tank's opposition lately, this is a fight, or fighter I should say, that is definitely worth putting on pay-per-view against Gervonta Davis. And the rivalry between Gervonta Davis and Ryan Garcia is not just amongst themselves. Their mentors, who are also their promoters, faced off against each other in one of the biggest fights in boxing history, and that being Floyd Mayweather versus Oscar De La Hoya.
I'm the top drawer. You remember that?
Imagine the atmosphere on that night. Oscar De La Hoya versus Floyd Mayweather once again, but not in the ring. Their proteges will be facing off. Two of some of the biggest names in boxing. Knockout artists versus knockout artists. After beating Deontay Wilder to finish off a great trilogy, Tyson Fury is the man in the heavyweight division. But there's another man walking around who owns 3 of the 4 belts in the heavyweight division.
And new heavyweight champion of the world, the fighting pride of Ukraine, Alexander Usyk.
He fights for glory, and he's found it.
I'll have to speak for myself when I say that I didn't expect Usyk to dismantle Anthony Joshua the way that he did. After the conclusion of Wilder Fury 2, it was said that Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury signed a contract to face each other for Undisputed. But due to unique circumstances, Tyson Fury was ordered to face Deontay Wilder in a rematch. And that humongous fight was scrapped, and Anthony Joshua went on to face Alexander Usyk. And unfortunately, he lost, making the Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua fight not as big as it once was. Anthony Joshua and Alexander Usyk are set to have a rematch in early 2022, so whoever is victorious in that matchup should be looking to face Tyson Fury for Undisputed. And I believe Usyk will be victorious against Anthony Joshua again, and Tyson Fury versus Usyk should be the matchup to make in the heavyweight division.
And of course, everybody in this division wants Canelo Alvarez. You said, hey, look, I need to earn that fight. If you guys fought right now, do you think David Benavidez could take Canelo Alvarez?
I definitely feel like I'd beat Canelo Alvarez, and I feel like it would
right now
I'd beat Canelo Alvarez, and I feel like it would be a great fight for the fans too. At the end of the day, people want to see great fights and fireworks, and that's what I give.
Canelo Alvarez, whoever he faces, the people will come to see him. He is the biggest attraction boxing has to offer right now. And David Benavidez is a young up-and-coming star who is eager to break the surface by facing Canelo Alvarez, his fellow countryman. There's absolutely no one that boxing fans want to see Canelo Alvarez fight more than David Benavidez. But now that Canelo has conquered 168 and he really has no future there, David Benavidez will have to move up out of 168 if he wants that Canelo smoke. And the only way this fight will happen is if Canelo wants it to happen for the fans. Mexican Warrior versus Mexican Warrior.
I'm gonna make you mistake you raise. What you want to bet on it? What you want to bet on? You can bet 100,000 on it. Let's bet $1 million. Easy.
This is not up for debate. Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence is the biggest fight in boxing, and it has been for some time now, but politics have really been holding this fight back. With all the doubters that Terence Crawford has had throughout his career, especially throughout his campaign in the welterweight division, he has been proving as of late why he is such a force in the welterweight division and why he should be called #1 pound for pound and the best welterweight in the division. The man just stopped Shawn Porter, and whether we want to say Kenny Porter stopped the fight or not, Shawn Porter has never looked like that in one single round against any of the opponents that he's faced. Errol Spence Jr. is the unified welterweight champion and is looking to make his return after being off for an entire calendar year after defeating Danny Garcia in a dominant fashion. In August of 2021, Errol Spence was scheduled to take on the legendary Manny Pacquiao, but unfortunately in his training camp, he suffered a retina injury, which pulled him out of the fight. And Yordenis Ugas was plugged in, and he defeated the legendary Manny Pacquiao in an upset win. And now Errol Spence will make his return against Yordenis Ugas in April for the WBA welterweight title, which would bring Errol Spence one step closer to making a fight with Terence Crawford for Undisputed if he can beat Yordenis Ugas. The Spence and Crawford fight is long overdue. This fight should have happened years ago, but if we get it, I'm sure all boxing fans will be satisfied when the time comes. The biggest fight in boxing belongs to these two, and it should happen in 2022. If you like this video, please like the video. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me on all my social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And And thank you for watching.